Okay, so finding the area of a triangle, we have our basic formula, 1/2 base times height, but there's lots of different types of triangles, so it is always best that you draw out what you have. That way you can label it and say, can I go straight to the formula, or do I have to do something additional? So the first one, we have a right triangle. That's what my right triangle looks like. The legs are 6 and 10, so 6, 10. Does not matter if you flip-flopped them, you just cannot put something on the hypotenuse. Let's let it come back into focus. There we go. So the hypotenuse has to stay blank. We want the area, which is just 1/2 base times height. And if we think about it, really, guys, if you had a rectangle, the area is going to be base times height. If I create a triangle now, it's still base times height, but it's only half of that we want. So that's a way to remember that that's 1/2 base times height. It's half of the rectangle, or half of the square. So now we're going to find the area of this triangle. I'm just going to plug stuff in. A is 1/2 times my base times my height. So then I'll type in 0.5 times 6 times 10. My area is 30. Very easy. Let's let it come back into focus. I apologize. Then my next one, a little bit trickier. We're still using my triangle formula. We have an isosceles right triangle. What that means is that the two, oops, that's a bad drawing. The two sides touching the right angle are the same. So we have to know some vocab here. So there's my right angle. That means these two side lengths are the same. So I'm going to make them the same letter, x and x. We have a hypotenuse of 10. So that's going to go there. If it had been a side of 10, that would mean both of these were 10. We want the area. Well, the area is 1/2 base times height. I don't have either the base or the height, but it's the same number. I know that much. So now we're going to have to use Pythagorean. So a squared plus b squared is c squared. A is x, b is also x, and c is 10. So how many x squareds do I have here? I have 2 of those x squareds. 10 squared is 100. We're solving for x, remember, so we'll divide by 2. X squared is 50. Take the square root, so x is square root of 50. If I put that up here, radical 50, I now can go through and find the area, because my area is 1/2 base, which is radical 50, times height, which is also radical 50. I'm going to type that in, 0.5 times square root of 50, close your parenthesis, times square root of 50, and close your parenthesis. And my final area worked out very nice, and it became just 25. And then the last thing I want you to do is to solve the area formula, 1/2 base times height, for height. So now I've got to get rid of the 1/2 and the base. So to do that, we're going to take it one at a time. I have 1/2 times base times height. So to undo that multiplication, I'm going to divide by 1/2. That right there is going to be the same thing as multiplying by 2. So I have 2a is equal to base times height. I want to get height by itself, so the last step is to undo that multiplication with division. So 2a over b is equal to my height. A little bit tougher than the rectangle one.